Bird. What's up, Saturday morning nerds? It's your boy, the OG GM, coming to you live on a foggy, rainy Saturday morning at 8:30 in the morning, this 10th day of the month of June in the year of our Lord Hello Kitty 2023. And we got some sort of good news. Renegade Studios has acquired the rights to Hasbro's other fantasy board game, Heroscape. So we've got this news from them saying that Renegade Game Studios is excited to announce that they are finalizing expansions of their licensing relationship with Hasbro, a global leader in play, to produce the best-selling Heroscape tabletop game. So Heroscape is a miniature combat type game. The biggest thing was it had really cool figures and it had a click-together terrain you could use. Now people are like... out there who are going to go, but what about the last one? They just did, Dungeon, and that they didn't support that, and that failed. So why now they're doing Heroscape? Heroscape had cool figures, and you could buy the figures separately. But the game never really caught on. So you'll have all the classic elements of the game with all new content, alongside the introduction of terrain packs, faction boxes, and more. New models, a variety of configurations, and point to both new and hardcore Heroscape fans. So there's apparently they think there's a passionate community about it. People have been clamoring for a revival, and it'll be firmly in the paws of Renegade to run and take control of, as opposed to Hasbro, and Wizards of the Coast will have no connection with it whatsoever. So Hasbro, once again, taking a previous contract of theirs that isn't Wizards of the Coast controlled and moving it over to Renegade to give them run with it like they did with Transformers, Power Rangers, G.I. Joe, and now My Little Pony. So I guess this means that they feel that Renegade Studios could handle the IP better than Wizards can right now. And it's another thing that's being taken out of the D&D landscape. I know you're going to say, well, if Hasbro made it, it's canon to D&D. And even though the figures could sort of be used for D&D, even though the bases don't really match, it's now in Renegade Studios' hands. So it's more likely it's canon with Renegade Studios stuff than Hasbro D&D stuff. But it's a miniature game. And the main sale is the click-together landscape, and it had some really awesome figures. So let's see if we have some pictures of what the figures look like now, shall we? Okay, here's the initial post, and right here we're seeing that the figures do not look very good. They just sort of look like the one color, sort of not that great printed out figures. I mean, you can still use it for D&D if you just need a mass army. But if you've never seen what the figures for the game look like originally, they were pretty cool. Let's see if I can find them. So yeah, here's the click together landscape. This was one of its big things. Is you could click together and Lego build these amazing landscapes, and you could use them for anything. I mean, you could use them for D&D, you could use them for Warhammer, you could use them for Heroscape. Basically they're, Legos with a overgrown sense of importance. But yeah, you could build all sorts of cool things. But, the real big thing were the figures. This is where this game kicked ass. So even if you didn't play the game, you could buy the figures and use them for D&D. Now, obviously, they had the wrong base. You could still use them, but, had this big circle base. And they weren't exactly D&D size. They were a little bigger than D&D size. But some of these sculpts are so amazing, you were able to forgive them. This guy was one of my favorites. The I don't know what he was. I guess an orc riding a dinosaur, dual-wielding spears. I used to have him. I don't know what happened to him. I had a lot of these figures. They got stolen or I lost them or something. Quality is good, not great, but they do have a good look. The dragons are amazing looking. Wide variety of normal fantasy figures, and then just some other weird stuff that they'd throw in. like this is an alien, but it could also just be some sort of necromancer riding a skeleton. Then for some reason you had World War, colonial Revolutionary War, musket men fighting Cthulhu zombies. Because it was like a time travel game. Here's the Incredible Hulk fighting some kind of mega giant troll being ridden by a goblin. So the thing was sort of it was sort of time travel, dimension travel. So you could put together all these weird armies, like here's a Roman soldier, here's a goblin, here's an undead, here's a demon, here's an angel. But if they all fell within your point value, you could build an army about these guys, even if the army made no freaking sense. That was part of the fun, is that the interchangeability of the figures. So you could just have like Space Marines versus Lizard People versus Roman Centurions versus generic Orky type guys. So sure, why not? If the point value worked, it makes sense, and it was cool, and I liked it. I love the figures. I love the snap together stuff. They were great. I never actually got to play Heroscape the way it was meant to be written, but we just loved using the figures. But this is, I guess, what it's gonna look like, the new version, maybe, with these more generic looking figures. I don't know. Figures were great. I would love to be able to pick up the figures again, even if I'd never used them. I don't remember what happened to my old ones. I probably got stolen. A whole bunch of my gaming stuff got stolen. But so who's excited to see these? If you're a figure person, you'll like this. If you're looking for an easy to get into alternative to, like, say, Warhammer, $60 gets you a starter set with some terrain and a starter army, and you can pretty much be guaranteed that the rules will not change as much as the Warhammer rules change on a weekly basis. Ow! Cheap shout out to Warhammer. Hit them while they're down. That's me. Yeah. So good news. Now I suppose fans of the other fantasy board game, Dungeon or whatever it was called, Hero Quest, that Hasbro restarted and then abandoned, will be upset that now they're trying this one. Why don't you just give that other one to Renegade instead? And who's to say they won't? But I don't know why Heroscape, Hero Quest are different, and why Heroscape is the one they're deciding to reinvigorate right now, other than they feel there's a big market for the figures, and maybe it'll have the same collectible gotcha mentality that Magic the Gathering has. So we'll see if this has wheels. It's interesting. It's cool. It's figures. Who doesn't love toys? All right, that's it for today's news. If you're excited about seeing this run come back, let me know. If you ever got to see the first one when it was around in the wild, as we say, let me know. If you don't care and never want to hear me talk about this topic ever again, let me know. Till next time, I will see you.